So autumn is finally here, and in this video I'm going to give you 10 amazing but very unique fragrances that you can rock. Yes people, what is going on YouTube, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name's TJ, and over here on my channel I discuss all things fragrances and the fragrance industry. So if there's any content, anything at all you'd like for me to create, let me know down in the comments. By the way, if you want to keep up to date with daily content dropping on my socials, go over and follow me on TikTok and on Instagram. And if you're a little bit nosy like me and you want to see what's happening behind the scenes, go over and follow me on Snapchat. All of them are at TJ Talk Sense. And I'm not sure about you guys, but I absolutely love the cooler months. I live for autumn, I live for winter as well. You can pull out those warm, spicy fragrances, those absolute bangers in your collection. And I'm a little bit fed up of seeing the same old fragrances in everyone's list. So in this video, I hope that I'm going to give you guys some different scents that you didn't know about. Now, the first fragrance on this list, I'm sure that not a lot of you know about this one because I only found out about this brand a couple of months ago. It is from the house Gleam London and it is called Iconic Gold. This is the bottle right there. It actually looks like Ganymede by Marc Anton Borra. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a sister company of the Italian brand Gris. Now, this fragrance has quite an Arabian feel to it, and it does remind me a lot of another fragrance I've got in my collection called Isra Mirage by Stefan Humbert Lucas, where it reminds me of a sunset in a desert where it's a little bit sandy, a little bit dry, but still a little bit breezy as well. It's got that kind of effect. And in this fragrance, what you pick up is predominantly amber, and you pick up musk with a tiny little bit of smokiness in there coming from the incense. And for me, this is one that I would kind of draw out in the autumn and winter instead of the summer, because on my skin, I'm not sure about you guys, but musk doesn't play too well with me in the summer. Now, performance on this one is crazy. I'm getting 12, 13 plus hours, and projection is solid for like the first 6 or 7 hours, but this one, when you spray it on clothes, it's very hard to get out, so go easy on the trigger. Now, I did say I'm only going for unique scents, but the second one, I couldn't not include it on this list because of how good it is, and you probably have seen this fragrance on loads of other creators' lists as well. It is from Parfums de Marly and is their release from last year called Althair. The bottle is beautiful and it just screams autumn to me. Now, a funny story with this one, when it first came out, I remember smelling it and I was like, yeah, this one's very nice. Like, I do like it, but not enough to actually go out and cop it. Then I started wearing a dupe of this by Mr. Nice Guy, and then my missus started wearing a dupe as well, and I absolutely loved it. It smelled amazing. So when Parfums de Marly asked me which fragrance I want from them, it had to be Althair. And I'm sure most of you guys have tried this, but for those who haven't, it's essentially cinnamon and vanilla you get in there. There's a couple florals as well, and then a muskiness in the base, but the muskiness complements everything in there so nicely. It's not too punchy and in your face, it's just light. And again, this is definitely one that you can wear in the spring and summer, but autumn and winter is where it peaks. And for me, you could wear this on a date, you could wear this to work because it's not too in your face, and it could actually be a daily driver. Now, the next two are leather-based fragrances, but let's start off with the newest one from Viktor and Rolf. This one here is called Spice Bomb Dark Leather, and I'm actually digging the bottle, man. This is clean. And just to clarify, it does come with this thing on it, but it makes so much noise that I always take it off. And this one was sent out to me recently, and although I don't think it's better than Spice Bomb Extreme, I do definitely think it has its part to play. I would say Spice Bomb Extreme, because of how spicy and peppery it is, I would go for that one in the winter. And because this one's a little bit more subtle, a little bit cleaner, I'll go for this in the autumn. And I know the go-to leather fragrance for most people is, of course, Tom Ford Ombre Leather. But I feel like a lot of people complain about the rubbery kind of feel you get in that fragrance. And this Spice Bomb Dark Leather doesn't really have that. So for that reason, I think it'll be slightly more mass appealing. And I do have to say, out of everything on this list, this one probably won't blow you away in terms of smell, but it definitely has its part to play. Now, this next leather fragrance is very different to the last. This is from the French niche house called Un Nuit Nomade. And this one, I'm sure you've heard of it before, seen it on Instagram. This is Sugar Leather, and the juice color again, lovely. And this brand makes some underrated fragrances, so definitely check them out if you can. And they've literally just announced today, at the time I'm recording this video, they're releasing 3 new Extrait fragrances. And I'm not sure about you guys, but whenever you see anyone speaking about those sweet vanilla fragrances, 2 instantly come to mind. They're probably the most spoken about on social media. It's of course Bianco Latte by Giardini di Toscana and Escapade Gourmand by Mason Mataha. And don't get me wrong, both of those fragrances are bangers and they do perform better than this. With them, you're gonna get 10, 12 plus hours. With this, you're gonna get around 8. But I feel like if you like that kind of DNA but want something a little bit more subtle and unique, go for Sugar Leather. Now, just because leather's in the name of the fragrance and listed in the notes, it doesn't mean you're going to pick it up. And for me, I don't really get leather in this at all. I get more cinnamon, which has that same kind of resemblance to Angel Share right above me. And then you get a kind of burnt, kind of caramelized feel, similar to Andalusian Soul as well. But I think this one's super underrated. And because this one doesn't project like crazy, I would put this on for an intimate occasion or just when you're at home in the winter doing Netflix and chill and cozying up to the missus. Now, before I tell you what the next one is, I need to set the scene for you guys. So when autumn hits and it's the to end of September, early October, the coffee shops like Blank Street start releasing banana bread lattes, and Costa and stuff like that release pumpkin spice lattes, because everybody loves a coffee in the autumn and winter, and everyone loves a coffee fragrance as well. And I've got an absolute banger here from the Italian house, I think it is, called Bois 1920, and the fragrance is called Durocaffe. Now, I was looking for something a little bit different when I was in Paris, and I actually picked this one up from Javoy Paris. And straight up, when you put this to your nose, you're going to get coffee and chocolate. And in addition to this, you also get this thick, syrupy, sweet-like smell, which reminds me a lot of two fragrances that I've spoken a lot about on my channel, which one is right above me, called A Whiff of a Waffle Cone, which is a mouthful, by imaginary authors, and followed by Kerosene. But the difference between Durocaffe is this one, you also smell this kind of buttery popcorn smell when you enter a cinema. Now, the performance with this one is not as good as Followed by Kerosene or Whiff of a Waffle Cone, but who really wants their clothes smelling for a month? With this one, you're gonna get 9+ hours, good projection, and I don't think you'd want this one to be any stronger than it is, because I think it might be a little bit too much. Now, I really need to try some other fragrances from Bois 1920, so if you know any, let me know which ones and I'll try them the next time I go out. And I might actually be saying the name wrong, because someone said because it's an Italian brand, you have to say Bois 1920. So is it Bois, is it Bois? Let me know. And now it's time for those to wear when we're stepping out. We need a boozy fragrance when it comes to a date night and things like that. And you guys already know I love Angel Share by Killian, which I always speak about, Vanilla Diorama, Amore Cafe, which all have a boozy accord in there. But this one, this is a really special fragrance. It is from Nasamato and it is called Baronda. And look how good this lid is on this. And I think you can even take this off and put on a plain black one for traveling. And this is actually the easiest fragrance to explain on this whole list, because you only are going to really pick up two things, which is whiskey and then woods. It literally reminds me of how it would smell if you stuck your head into a liquor barrel in a factory or something like that. It's that simple. And I wore this one a couple weeks ago for my missus' birthday, and I'm telling you, I must have done maybe 6 or 7 sprays, and that was way too much because this was stuck onto my clothes, even went through onto my skin, and this is all I could smell the next morning, but I weren't even complaining. And there's other fragrances on this list that I've mentioned already that are your more kind of daily driver fragrances, whereas this one's not. This is your evening, date night, special occasion scent. And I know this bottle looks super tiny in my hand, and this is a 30 ml, but this will actually last you a couple years, man, because you only need 2 or 3 sprays. And the craziest thing is the last fragrance that I showed you smells more like an old fashioned than what I'm about to show you. This one is from Killian Paris and it is called Old Fashioned. This is not Angel Share, this is their new release. And this one came out around a month ago, and loads of people have been asking me, when is the new Angel Share Paradis coming out, which is a similar DNA to the OG, but it's got raspberry in there. And when I was speaking to the Killian team in Paris, they told me it's coming out February 2025, so stay locked in. And this is an inside scoop for you lot. They said they done a blind test with all of the staff in the office with the original Angel Share and then Angel Share Paradis, and 80% of them chose Paradis as their favorite. But anyway, back to Old Fashioned. And listen, when I go out or I'm chilling at home on a weekend, just catching a vibe, my go-to beverage of choice would be Captain Morgan Spiced paired with apple juice. And I know loads of people are going to be like, oh, that's some dead combo, what is that? Listen, don't knock it until you try it, and this Old Fashioned here smells exactly like that. And there's also this super realistic wheat note in this fragrance that I can smell straight from the bottle. And it reminds me a lot of a few years ago, I went to Amsterdam and I went to the Heineken factory for a tour. Don't know why I went there, but it was a fun experience anyway. And you kind of saw the process of how they make it and everything. And there was literally wheat and barley like everywhere. And this literally reminds me of that a lot. And the performance is the only thing that lacks with Old Fashioned. You're going to get around 8 hours longevity, which is cool, but projection is not as good as like Baronda, which I just showed you, or as good as Angel Share, but there's still something about the DNA that I love. Now, this one's also another fan favorite that a lot of people talk about in their list as well, but I haven't actually worn this fragrance for probably like a year and a half now. It's from BDK Parfums and it is Gris Charnel Extrait. This is probably widely known as the best fragrance from BDK. And we've all seen reviews on this fragrance. And when you hear notes like tea and fig, this is probably the first fragrance that comes to your mind. It's kind of hard to explain, but this is just an elite fragrance. But what I think people don't speak about enough is the combination of iris, vanilla and sandalwood, because that gives it that powdery light feel while still being creamy, bold and well-rounded. And you can see how much of my bottle I've used already, so before autumn and winter's done, I'm gonna need a re-up. Now you can wear this one dressed up, you can wear it dressed down, it doesn't really matter. I think this one's super mass appealing, and earlier this year I actually got a dupe of this fragrance from Elite Aromas. It is called Franchic 107.5 or something like that, and it's a solid dupe of it and around a tenth of the price. And the second from last fragrance on this list is from Azzaro, and I know as soon as I said that, you guys are probably thinking Azzaro the Most Wanted Intense or Parfum. It is neither of those. It is this old school one here, Azzaro Wanted by Night. Now, this one goes under the radar compared to the ones that I just spoke about from Azzaro. And I'm not kind of sure why. Maybe it's because it's not as mass appealing as the other two, because this has a little bit more character. It's a little bit sweeter and spicier. But I think this one performs the best out of all of them. And Wanted by Night was made by the master perfumer Quinton Bish, who, if you guys already know, man, he's a G in the game. He's made fragrances like Hibiscus Mahajad, Amouage Guidance, which everyone loves. And in this fragrance, what you're going to kind of pick up is some fruits. You get some citruses in there. You get some lavender as well that gives it a nice little freshness. Then as it dries down, you get some cold spices paired with patchouli, I think. And I wore this one to work a few times, and honestly, this one cuts through the cold air like butter. I remember spraying it on my quarter zip on the collars right there. And all day long, I just kept like going down to it and sniffing it, and I was like, how is this thing so strong? And I also got loads of compliments as well. And this fragrance you can pick up on the Tino and All Beauty, a full-size bottle for like 40 to 50 pounds, and for that reason it's a steal. And the last fragrance on this list is from the niche fragrance house Fragrance de Bois, and I actually don't own a full-size bottle of this one, but I will eventually. I've got a 7.5 ml here. This one is called Rude Oud. This one came out earlier this year and is a Harrods exclusive. And this one was launched in Harrods a couple of months ago. I think it was like the start of summer, and I think that was a total mistake just because of how the DNA in this fragrance is. I think it would have been perfect to release it now, and I think the buzz this would have got would have been crazy. And I remember when they released this one, they had stands in the corridor as soon as you come in the entrance, and I remember coming out of the lift and all I could smell was Rude Oud. And if you haven't tried this one, in there you've got leather, you've got fruits, and you've got oud as well. But when you hear that kind of combination, you probably got something in your mind, and I'm telling you, it smells nothing like you would expect. When I first tried it, I got the smell of banana for some reason, and now when I put it to my nose, I get a kind of sweet and fruity passion fruit or mango, paired with like an ambery feel, and then as it dries down, I would say 30 minutes to an hour in, you're hit with this slightly animalic oud, which, if you guys have watched my videos before, you know I'm not into animalic oud fragrances, but in this it works. And a few weeks ago, I had a one-to-one consultation with the brand where we dived into all of the fragrances, and my favorite was Cavort, which is in a purple bottle, which I've literally got right next to me. But this Rude Oud was literally my brother's favorite. He absolutely loved it. He sprayed about 20 or 30 on him. And then that same day he went out, he got 2 compliments. So I think for Christmas, I need to grab him a bottle. And yeah, this one is super unique. The projection's there, the longevity's there, the central's there, the compliment factor's there. It is a pricey fragrance, of course, but I do think it's worth the price. So that is the end of the list. So if there's anything on here that you've got in your collection, let me know down in the comments. And if there's one that as soon as I explained it, you're like, yeah, next time I go out, I need to try this one, let me know as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed the content. If you made it this far and you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And like I said at the beginning, if you want to keep up to date with daily content or behind the scenes content as well, follow me on TikTok, Instagram and Snapchat at TJ Talk Sense. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. And as always, love for the love, my people.